Here's what's coming up on your horizon. Well, from the food we eat to the clothes on our backs, it all starts with agriculture. Today, we focus on agricultural education and the impact it has on today's youth. And we begin by heading to the classroom to see differences between rural and urban agricultural programs.
I wouldn't even really know what welding was or what ag was or all the opportunities that ag gives you. So I think it's very good that Edmond has.
We visit some students working to end hunger in Oklahoma.
Shattuck FFA, naturally, we've always, if there's an opportunity to give, we give.
And we end our day with a visit from the advisor of the National FFA organization.
So all those working together really provide the best educational experience and what we believe is a time-tested model for agricultural education and FFA.
Stay with us for Oklahoma Horizon.
Oklahoma Horizon is made possible by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education.
Oklahoma's investment in Career Tech provides more than nationally recognized technology education and training. It produces solid financial returns for the state's economic future. Oklahoma Career Tech, elevating our economy.
And the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping good people grow good things. And now, from the Career Tech Studios in Stillwater, here's your host, Andy Barth.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining us here on Horizon. I'm Andy Barth. Rob McClendon will be here later in the show. Well, downtown Oklahoma City will be taken over this week by blue and gold corduroy as the 88th annual FFA State Convention gets underway. It's expected that around 10,000 FFA members and supporters will hit the Cox Convention Center as they prepare for motivational speakers, leadership workshops, and a showcase of FFA members' talents and skills. Yet before the convention comes to town, FFA members and advisors spend the year competing in contests, caring for animals, and learning more about the agricultural industry. FFA, formerly known as the Future Farmers of America, teaches students about the vast industry that feeds and clothes our planet. And while ag classes have their roots in small, rural communities, Oklahoma metro areas are also teaching their students about the broad opportunities agriculture offers. The day is young in Amber, Oklahoma. A town so small, they just have a flashing light.
Last night was a really good speech.
And with school underway, Justin Reed's ag class has already started.
A couple years. I want kids to really enjoy coming to my classroom.
Reed is a student teacher this year at Amber Pocasset High School, and while he loves what he does, he wasn't always certain ag education was his calling.
What? No. Growing up, I always had the dream of becoming a veterinarian. Hopefully I can.
But that soon changed.
We can talk about after I see how quickly I grew as a person, that's when the reality set in that I wanted to watch somebody else grow. So from the time I was a freshman, from about Christmas on, I quickly knew that I was going to become an ag ed teacher.
And Reed says he has a strong role model to learn after.
That's science.
Billy Scott has been teaching at Amber Pocasset for 38 years and says teaching in a small town makes it easy for the community to support the program.
You did do good.
We're very fortunate to have a program that's recognized in the community, and they like to see the success of our students, and not only in their school but also as they move forward in their careers.
Plants have two alleles.
And one student headed for a successful career is sophomore Jana Bickerstaff.
Two alleles for tallness.
I wanted to go to OSU. I want to get my mechanical engineer degree there. And it's just more to work in the ag business and work on stuff like that and building stuff in that area of work.
But for now, Bickerstaff is learning all things plants.
There's two.
It's like another class of doing what I love the most, growing things or working with my hands and just learning more about the environment, what's going on.
It does look good.
And for teachers like Reed, it's exciting when students have fun in class.
There's a smile that comes across the kid's face when they see a plant, when they see an animal, when you can talk to them about their previous knowledge. And so I really do like seeing the growth. I like seeing the smiles. I like seeing how kids interact, and it's a great place for kids to do something. We call it out of seat, out of place. where we get to go outside and do something rather than sit in the classroom and read the book the whole time.
Does it require a second?
Yes.
Is it debatable?
And Scott says ag education only grows in importance as fewer and fewer people are brought up on the farm.
Agriculture education, like I say, a lot of things say now they're like 3 generations removed from the farm. And so it's just going to be so important as we try to talk about feeding a growing population, as we talk about trying to save natural resources. It's all going to come to these young people right here. The ones that are in agriculture education classes are going to be the ones that are probably solving those problems for the future.
What about the complementary one?
And Bickerstaff knows those problems are as simple as knowing where our food comes from.
Less than 2% of the population feeds the population. That's a pretty small percentage. And lots of people don't know where that stuff comes from. And so it's absolutely, I think it's necessary in a child's life to know where things come from.
Yet, aside from knowing the origins of our food, FFA offers a large variety of career development. And for senior Mason Ware, his favorite event, livestock judging.
I've been doing it ever since my freshman year, as soon as I got introduced to ag. It's been a fun thing to do in high school, a fun activity, an easy way to get involved.
Judging livestock involves looking at a group of animals and ranking them from best to worst, which is the easy part.
I place some market hogs.
What comes after is explaining your placings to a judge.
Heavier muscled individuals.
And for Ware, the skills he learned will go beyond the contest.
Is a bold rib, deep-bodied individual. I think that the biggest thing that has helped me a lot in livestock judging would be the public speaking part of it, and especially helped on memory. If I go into like a corporate job and have to give a presentation or even job interviews to get the job that I want to, it's going to help a lot.
And when it comes to such career development events, Scott says students must learn to work independently.
I was doing the commodity challenge. They've got to work on their own a lot of times. I sometimes reference it to like marathon runners. They're out there for a long period of time just working on their own.
Yet, regardless of the hard work, Bickerstaff says FFA and ag education makes her and her classmates better people.
I feel like it brings us more together as young adults, I guess you could say. Shows us lots of leadership and lots of teamwork involved there, and organization. Just it teaches you more how to be more professional in the ag field.
Well, FFA covers programs of all shapes and sizes, from the rural area we just visited to here, Edmond, Oklahoma, the outskirts of Oklahoma City, and where the Ag Barn is right in the middle of a suburban residential area. It's not a typical day here at the Edmond Ag Center, but according to teacher Mason Jones, atypical is normal.
Every day is different, but we typically try and model our instruction, whether it's in the shop facility or in the greenhouse or in a typical classroom setting, to make everything that we do try and find a hands-on application to each lesson.
Jones is one of 3 instructors in Edmond and says being in an urban area can present challenges to the program.
A challenge that we are constantly facing is maybe the misconception about our program, and people that just are ignorant to some of the things that we do, and trying to get our name spread to the community is always a challenge. We are more than just cows, sows, and plows, or your typical production agriculture conception that you have, that we're not just a overall wearing, pitchfork wielding farmer.
In fact, they offer many different classes to help students prepare for all sorts of careers.
The agriculture, power, and technology class is a major part of what we do on a daily basis. Students that are learning how to work with metal, weld, cut, do everything involved with that is a major part of what we do as well.
And for student Sage Holder, melting metal is fun.
This is my first year to weld, but I didn't know anything coming into it. I like it a lot.
And for this city girl turned ag, welding could be in her future.
I'm going to do this class next year, my junior year, and then also my senior year. And then, you never know, maybe a career out of it.
A surprising new passion, all because of an ag class in the suburbs.
I wouldn't even really know what welding was or what ag was or all the opportunities that ag gives you. So I think it's very good that Edmond has it.
And welding is just one of many pieces in the agricultural puzzle.
There's over 300 different careers in agriculture, and we boast that often.
And Jones believes his students can succeed in any of those careers.
We have what we believe some of the most talented students, and students that are just hardworking and excited about every single thing that you're teaching them.
I've got a passion for my plants, and I ain't afraid to show it. I'm farming and I grow it.
And one of those students is Edmond FFA's Vice President, Kaylee Horn, who competed in a public speaking contest about agricultural advocacy.
With the mission of empowering farmers and ranchers, I've been very busy in FFA, going to camps, conferences, a lot of leadership events, and then participating in public speaking and showing. I've definitely stayed really busy. When I wear my official dress for
Horn, FFA and agricultural education isn't only about competing in speech contests and showing livestock. It's about educating the public about agriculture's key role in our society.
In fact, college undergrads, I know for my speech I have to know that only 2% of America is involved in agriculture. So it's important for people to kind of realize that this is a big deal and that farmers are the ones that are making their food, not Walmart. So it's really important to have something here in Edmond where we do have 200 members kind of showcasing what we do as agriculture and showcasing the future of agriculture.
Telling them the difference between a cow and a bull is something that you wouldn't think that you'd ever have to tell someone from Oklahoma, whether they're rural or not, but that's something we talk about.
It would be the
And as far as Horn is concerned, FFA will take her farther than anywhere else.
When the general public, a lot of kids are involved in sports and theater and all that, and that's great, don't get me wrong, but I think that this is something that's teaching us life skills. People aren't going to be collegiate basketball players or baseball players. A lot of that's just going to end as soon as high school's over. But, agriculture is our world's largest employer, and this is something that is enabling our youth to continue with what America's going to need. As long as people are eating, they're going to need agriculture. So it's something that's really needed in our society.
Two separate programs, both with the same mission, to ensure the future of American agriculture.
Angus to get a bald-faced.
Well, no matter the size of the program, FFA and agricultural education go hand in hand. All programs work off of something they call the three-circle model. Now, in order to have a successful program, teachers must combine classroom instruction, FFA, and a supervised agricultural experience, which is a student's project like raising animals or working for an ag-related company. Now, when we return, FFA members work to end hunger.
You're watching Oklahoma Horizon, featuring some of the good things that are happening in the great state of Oklahoma.
Well, 1 in 4 children in Oklahoma struggles with hunger. That's why the Regional Food Bank of Oklahoma began the Food for Kids program, an effort that's getting a boost thanks to some young people whose love of livestock goes beyond the show ring. Our Rob McClendon has the story.
Well, the Oklahoma Youth Expo is the annual spring livestock show that's famous for the number of scholarships and awards it gives out each year. But at this year's event, you didn't have to come home with a blue ribbon to be a real winner. Welcome to the big time. In the livestock judging world, it doesn't get much more competitive or more lucrative than the Oklahoma Youth Expo.
I sold the Grand Mara.
Since its beginnings in 2002, OYE has provided $2.1 million in scholarships to more than 1,000 Oklahoma students. But for every winner, there doesn't have to be a loser.
Winning the second ever Diamond Hats Animal Donation Challenge is the Shattuck 4-H and FFA chapter.
Beginning in 2013, a growing number of exhibitors are donating their animals to the Regional Food Bank of Oklahoma.
And we'll have lunch with a
Shattuck FFA, naturally, we've always, if there's an opportunity to give, we give.
Paige Gosney is president of her local FFA chapter.
When we came to OYE and we heard that there was an opportunity to donate our animals to hunger, to the cause for hunger, we just saw that as a great opportunity, and we kind of all came together and saw that as the right thing to do.
Altogether, 22 animals were donated, one of which was Duke Kellens.
Well, it's just kind of bittersweet. I mean, you get to give back to the community they just give us so much, as like donations and stuff like that. And then we get to give back to people who don't really have a lot that they kind of need.
1 in 4 Oklahoma children struggles with hunger, a problem that takes us out of the show ring and across town. This is the Regional Food Bank of Oklahoma. Inside this warehouse, there's more than 4 million pounds of food. 4 million pounds of food that will be distributed this month to over 90,000 people a week, and 40% of those children.
Because we got a call from the school principal and told us they had a child literally standing in line for school breakfast, passed out. And they discovered that child had nothing to eat all weekend but a hot dog with no bun. And they called and asked us what we could do about it. And that's
Rodney Bivens is the executive director of the Regional Food Bank and says that's when they began their Backpack for Kids program.
Well, it's a really simple program that school identifies the child who has very little or nothing to eat over the weekend, and they get a backpack on Friday afternoon to bridge that gap from school lunch on Friday at 11:30 until school breakfast on Monday morning.
Last year, the Backpack for Kids program fed more than 15,000 students in 477 schools across central and western Oklahoma.
We're putting beef sticks in our backpacks, and we didn't know where they're even being produced, and we didn't like all the ingredients in it. I said, that doesn't make sense to me. We're a beef state. We should produce these in our own state. And so we started talking to various people in the state, the Oklahoma Farm Bureau, Beef Council, other people, the Pork Council, involved in the project, and came up with a novel concept. We produce these, get the beef donated in the state of Oklahoma. We have a processor in Chickasha, Oklahoma that processes them for us. Then Ralph's Meat Packing Plant in Perkins puts them into beef sticks. So it's a win-win situation.
Since its inception, the Beef for Backpacks and Pork for Packs has grown to the point of about 40,000 of these sticks being packed up for chronically hungry children every month.
I think it's tremendous, Les. The whole FFA program, it's not just about raising the animals. That's really a critical part of it. It's about leadership, teaching those skills to those young men and women that can be successful throughout their lives.
Good week.
Oklahoma youth, helping other children they may never meet, avoid hunger while learning a lesson that could last a lifetime.
At this year's State FFA Convention, representatives from the Regional Food Bank will meet with members of the FFA about how they can get more involved. And with more than 350 FFA chapters here in Oklahoma, you can just imagine the impact that could have on childhood hunger in the state.
Want to share something you've seen here today? Well, all of our episodes are streaming on our YouTube channel at Oklahoma Horizon TV. Or you can subscribe to our weekly free podcasts on iTunes.
Well, now the Oklahoma FFA Association is one of the largest in the country, yet it's only part of a growing national organization. The National FFA organization began in 1928 with 33 male members in Kansas City, Missouri. Today, after several changes like the inclusion of African American members in 1965 and the addition of females in 1969, FFA has grown to more than 500,000 members nationwide. And while the face of FFA is primarily students, a team of adults help run the organization. Earlier, I sat down with National FFA advisor Dr. Steve Brown to talk about the importance of FFA in students' lives. Dr. Brown, thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Well, FFA is such a strong youth organization and the largest youth organization in the country, yet so many still don't know what FFA is about. What do you say to them?
FFA is one component of a three-component model. You don't have school-based agricultural education without FFA. You don't have FFA without experiential service and work-based learning through an SAE. So all those working together really provide the best educational experience and what we believe is a time-tested model for agricultural education and FFA.
Now I heard you say three letters, SAE. What does that stand for?
SAE, Supervised Agricultural Experience. We call it the Supervised Agricultural Experience Program. It could be a service-orientated program that students actually provide a service learning type program for their community. And it can be work-based, so it could be working for a wage as well as working for experience, volunteering, working for others, and just learning, job exploration, those type of things.
For someone who isn't familiar with the organization, describe to us just how broad FFA is.
The broadness of FFA, it's a lot of people, when they think about FFA, and we changed our name back in 1988 to the National FFA Organization, not to exclude ourselves from production agriculture. Many call it farming. I mean, that's what it is. But to expand and broaden what we really offer to students, because we include horticulture, natural resources, environmental sciences, biotechnology. All of those have a component that is connected to and is supportive of the agricultural industry. So it's more than just being a student that's going to be going back to a home farm or going back to a farming.
What does today's FFA member look like?
Today's FFA member looks like a vibrant, engaged student that is really interested in strictly from the FFA side of learning those employability skills, career skills that will help them to be successful no matter what career field they choose. It helps them to have that work ethic, learn to problem solve, learn to work as a part of a team. That's what some of the programs, award areas such as career development events, it's a part of the agricultural education and FFA do, help students to make them a high quality, desirable employee for employers.
Mm-hmm. Now, the name has changed to the National FFA Organization, but it's still deeply rooted in agriculture as the base of the organization. How does that fit into urban areas?
The first question I always state when I hear that is, do you eat? And most people do not miss too many meals. Now, I realize there is hunger in this world, so we have to recognize that. How it fits in urban areas, if you eat, if you're clothed, if you're housed, there's all a component of agriculture around that. And that's where we need to help make sure that people understand where their food comes from. It's the safest food in the world. It goes through a lot of stringent guidelines to provide a safe, abundant food supply for feeding a hungry world.
Our educational standards across the country are constantly changing and updating. How does FFA and agricultural education keep up with that?
Every agricultural education or FFA program that we offer, we try to make sure it's crosswalked with the latest science standards, math standards, and language arts, those type of standards. It's connected to that, even Common Core. We also have what we call quality program standards, which we try to use to help make sure our programs are delivered at the highest quality we can. And we also, it's not through the department, but through outside others that help work with agricultural education. They've developed what we call the curriculum content standards. And those curriculum content standards help guide what we should be teaching. And those are really originated from partnering with business and industry to say, what is it that we should be doing in this industry, in this profession, in this career cluster or career pathway to make sure that we're delivering and trying to meet the needs of the industry. So those content standards are what really help guide programs across the nation.
Certainly. Well, Dr. Brown, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Wish you the best.
Now, we have more stories about FFA on our website. Just head to okhorizon.com and look under this week's Value Added.
You can keep up with us throughout the week. Just head to okhorizon.com, where you can see more of any of our stories, read our reporters behind the scenes blogs, see what others are saying about us on Twitter, and face the facts with our regular updates. So reach out and touch us anywhere and anytime.
You can't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to be a rancher.
Next time on Oklahoma Horizon, we'll take you to the movie premiere of the new film called Farmland.
When I started, no one believed in me. Nobody.
An intimate look at the people feeding your family. On Oklahoma Show for the Heartland, Oklahoma Horizon.
We need to have young people go into farming. Who's going to grow our food?
Well, that is going to wrap us up for today, but you can see more of any of our stories on our website at okhorizon.com. You can watch us on the go with our weekly podcast on iTunes. Follow us throughout the week on Twitter at OKHorizonTV, or just become a Horizon fan on Facebook. I'm Andy Barth. Thanks for watching. Rob McClendon will see you back here next week.
Horizon is made possible by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education and the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping good people grow good things. Copies of today's show are available on our website, okhorizon.com. Thank you for watching Oklahoma Horizon.